This is Death or Prison, brought to you by leanonmeusa.org. We bring you stories of hope and encouragement.
Hello and welcome to the Death or Prison podcast, brought to you by leanonmeusa.org. I am Johnny Branham.
I'm Oswald Newbold.
And I'm David Ray.
D. Ray, a.k.a. D. Ray.
That's how everybody knows me in the chain gang.
Okay.
And outside, too, mostly. So,
Maybe you did 10 years as well in incarceration and talking about that.
Yep.
We want to start kind of where you were born and where you grew up and where is home at. Is it in Florida or is it elsewhere?
well, home is Florida now, but I was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Okay.
We moved from there to Birmingham, Alabama when I was 6. So that's where home was. I still have a lot of family in that area, sister and 2 brothers that live in the Birmingham area. So I've got definite roots and connections there, but I've been in the Tampa Bay area for a long, long time. So that's kind of my second home.
Okay. My wife's from Tennessee, so I'm familiar with Nashville, Nashvillians.
Yeah.
Life now, do you have was mom, dad there when you're growing up, siblings?
Both of them were there. I'm the youngest of 5, so 2 older brothers, 2 older sisters. I grew up in a good home,
Okay.
a believing home. So
Okay. When you say believing home, church was kind of a regular thing every Sunday, and
twice on Sunday, Bible class on Wednesday. So it was a regular thing. It was never a question. Sunday morning came around, we were going to church.
amen.
You say you was the youngest,
Mhm.
So how was that being the baby?
Well, people who are the youngest kid of a bunch of kids, most times they get away with more because the parents are tired of dealing with discipline and raising kids. Probably doesn't paint the right picture, but the baby kind of gets ignored. That's the one that they leave behind at the store if they forget one of them, or the one that gets lost in the mall. Or that was me for sure. I'd wander off and like, oh, where's David? We don't know.
Yeah, that's good.
Growing up, were there any sports interests? What were you into as a kid?
This might shock some people, but I was a nerd. Still kind of am, but I loved school, loved learning. We had a set of encyclopedias that I could just sit and read for hours. Would read the dictionary. Really didn't get into reading like fiction books until much later. But I was interested in sports to some degree, but never really athletic. So mostly more of a nerd than an athlete.
Nothing wrong with reading. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Your siblings, what were your interactions like with your siblings? You were the youngest, but what was kind of like the biggest gap between you and the youngest next to you?
3 years to my next older brother, but all of us fit in a 10-year time span. So
Okay.
5 kids in 10 years.
Okay. In middle school, things kind of typically change. You go from elementary school to middle school. Everything's kind of the same at around 11 or 12, 13 years old with life. Were there any challenges or anything that you can remember back from a young age that you were dealing with at that time?
Not really middle school time. It wasn't as much of a transition for me as maybe is for some people. The school I went to was kindergarten through 8th grade, so there was not like a change of schools or whatever that might bring about some other life changes. So not really any kind of transition period in middle school.
Gotcha. What were you like in high school? Were you still the nerd in high school, or were you?
I was either the coolest guy on the math team or the or some other version of that. But I ran in some circles that were, that more of the cool kids ran in. A lot of people don't believe me when I tell them this, but the coolest thing you could do in my high school was to be in the chorus, and people hear that and think, no, you weren't cool at all. That's not true. But there was a male chorus. It was more like a fraternity than a chorus. So that's I had some musical ability, so that helped me get into that and be around some of the cool kids, even though I was kind of a nerd too. So
Now I gotta ask, how did you discover this? Were you like the kid that was kind of experimenting? You're singing in the shower, and you like somebody mom walked by the bathroom. She's, oh wow, you got a nice voice.
well, the church that I grew up in, they do like congregational singing and like 4-part harmony, and so it's something that I grew up hearing all the time, and
Okay.
kind of developed my natural inclination toward music, because both my parents had musical ability, and so
Okay.
that kind of promoted that in me. And then when I got into organized music in high school, helped develop that even farther.
That's good. And we're gonna get into your story, but I just got to ask a question because I love music. Does music still play a part of your life? Not necessarily singing, but does music play a valuable part of your life right now?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Since I've been out of prison, I've gotten involved with a choir. It's a secular choir that we do classical music. That I've been able to do some really amazing things. I just really feel lucky to be a part of that group. That I'm singing with the orchestra. We sang the national anthem at a Buccaneers game. It's just it still
good.
continues to be part of my life. Yeah.
And now you done sung the national anthem at a Buccaneers game, but I got to bring you back to when you was in this chorus, and we trying to figure out if it really was cool at the time. But give us life back there.
Well, the chorus was really sort of a front for a fraternity, which isn't allowed in high school.
Yeah.
But they hazed us in like you would at a fraternity in college. But we had the captain of the football team and the baseball star, and all the cool guys. So as far as I can recall, I think it was cool. But when people hear me say that being in the chorus was cool, they don't understand it unless they were there. But
During high school and shortly thereafter, did you decide to go to college after that? Was it straight to work, tech school?
I went to college. I went to a little Bible college in Tampa area for a couple of years. I didn't really know what I wanted to focus on education-wise, so just did some general studies, kind of floundered around a little bit trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and never really did figure that out all the way. But I love going to school. That's part of the problem is, a lot of guys or a lot of people think negatively about school, and they just want to get in and get their degree and get out. But I love the classroom. So staying in school longer didn't seem like a punishment for me. So it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do.
Yeah, it's good you do mention education. There's statistics out there about education saying every grade level that we go up, it reduces recidivism by the chance of 3%. So we don't realize that education plays a role in the criminal justice system or our ways of thinking and life options too, furthering our education. Just throwing that in there.
Yes. After Bible college, you said you kind of weren't really set on what it was that you wanted to do. Were there anything that you were doing outside of Bible college that you were exploring that kind of led you into any type of field of work? What was that?
No, not really. I talked about the music earlier. That's something I majored in for a while. I thought about being a music teacher. That's always been a big part of my life, and I think it will continue to be. But had some part-time jobs and things, but nothing that was really leading me into a particular field or trade or something like that.
Any relationships that stand out to you at this time? And how old are you at this time that you're kind of, these part-time jobs?
Like 18, 19, 20.
Okay, so young man, still trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. No serious relationships up to that point. I had dated around, just kind of used that as a way to get to know people, but never really found somebody to be serious with until later on.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So life was moving there. You did you complete college at the time? You did?
Not then.
Not then.
I didn't finish college until I went to prison. That's where I
Okay.
finished my degree. But
All right, that's a whole big jump right there.
Yeah.
So let's bring life back to college. What, since you didn't finish your degree, and I don't know if maybe you ran into legal trouble while in school, but what was going on with life then at the time when you didn't finish the degree? What did your life go right then?
Well, like I said, I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Changed majors a couple of times, so just working my way through school. Majored in music for a while, majored in math for a while, majored in German for a while. I'm not sure how I picked any of those things, but some of the things I had just a natural aptitude for, and probably lacking on some discipline and direction, and just kind of bounced around from one thing to the other.
How long did you bounce around from one thing to another? Just, and not even just college. Now, apparently you ended up out of college at some point. Like, what happened with life post college at that time?
Well, eventually I did get into a relationship, and we decided to get married and
Got married young.
Yeah, I was 24 or 25 when I got married.
A lot of courage.
Yeah. But then work kind of took the place of school, and that just got put on the back burner for a while.
Life has a tendency of kind of getting in the way of certain aspirations, especially when you say that you get into a relationship that eventually leads to marriage, and now it's about the wife, the married life, planning for the future, and you got bills, mortgage, whatever it is. Were your siblings still kind of close to you at this time, or were they, okay, mom, dad still?
Yeah, mom and dad were still around at that point. Brothers and sisters, still very connected with them.
With that upbringing, did you bring then that same faith into the foundation of your marriage as you were moving forward in your own household?
Yeah, as much as I understood my own faith at that point, yes. But that's some of what I've learned along the way through my whole life is what faith really is. And looking back, I don't think I really understood the depth of that at that point. But as much as I could, I brought that into my family, and my wife brought it from her side as well. She was a believer.
So you saying faith as you understood it at that time. What was faith to you looking back? What was faith to you at that time? The best you knew it.
For me, and maybe this would resonate with people who kind of grew up in a believing home. It's a lot of it was the traditions that you were brought up in, or what your family did, and just what you learned from being a small child.
Yeah.
I learned about God and Jesus and all the Bible stories, Moses and Daniel and the judges and the apostles and all those things, but never really had a faith that was my own, that a dependence on God and a trust in Him.
Type of relationship.
Yeah, the relationship, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So you knew the traditional practices, but you hadn't built that personal relationship with the higher power.
Right.
That it's good that you understand that now. Moving at that time, you're married, living. What's next?
The kids started coming.
Oh,
yeah.
Kids. That's what plural. I hear S, so that means more than one.
So we got 4 kids. So between 2001 and 2008, we had 4 kids. Make sure I'm saying that right.
One every other year almost.
Yeah, 2001 and 2008 were the 1, 2, 3, and 4 between that.
Yeah.
That definitely had to have changed life for you.
Absolutely.
At that point,
Yeah.
being a dad.
Yeah.
Now being the one that has to basically being responsible for these 4 lives and changing them and helping them to grow. Did that change your faith at any point during that time period? Sometimes people, they have those pivotal moments where they realize, okay, it's not just me and my wife. It's not just me. Now I have this one child, or this second child, this third child.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's true. I wanted to instill some things in my kids that I thought were lacking in my upbringing. As I mentioned before, we were brought up in faithful traditions, the things that revolved around God and church, but wanted to make sure that my kids understood how to have a love for God. When Jesus talked about the greatest commandment, to love God with all your heart, and I don't know that that was really um, stressed to me as I was growing up. It was more of a performance kind of religion than a true relationship, and I don't know that I remember being taught to love God, and I wanted to teach that to my kids.
That that's important and impactful. There are a lot of people that are watching right now that, we hear testimonies and have conversations with people all the time when they say, well, I grew up with a praying grandmother, or, my mom, dad drugged me to church, but I never really knew him. And me being a person who was drugged to church by his grandmother, although my mom and dad didn't foster that, my grandmother did, and how I went my own way, ended up in prison. And people would always ask me to look at the proverbial question, well, how did you miss out? How did you make it into prison? And I said, well, I really didn't have a relationship. And I think that's the important part of it all, to basically to instill in individuals to develop that personal relationship. And so I'm even speaking to the people who are watching by tablet. Develop your own personal relationship with Christ. Make sure that it's yours. Make sure that it's not the faith. Grandma and grandpa and mom can hand down some things, but you got to know them for yourself. And I think, as you were pointing out, hindsight 2020, what was it that was missing? I can say in commonality, exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
You say you wanted to teach them the love of God.
Yes.
Teach the love of God. I think that's something that's missing in this world right now. We say God, but do we really love God? Do we really listen to it? Do we use it not only when we're in trouble, but do we even look towards God when things are going right? A lot of times it's right, we good, but then we don't mention nothing then. But when soon as things go wrong, oh Lord, what I'm gonna do? Right then and there. So I get that. Dave, take us through the journey. 4 kids in a 7-year period.
Yeah.
Got to be tough on a young man.
It was hard, but it was good. I love being a father. I was very involved with the kids' upbringing. You know, frequently when they wake up in the middle of the night, they'd come to my side of the bed and wake me up, to tell me their bad dream or their the things that wake kids up in the middle of the night. But was very involved. I love my kids. But eventually things did start to get hard.
Okay.
We had one of our youngest child had numerous health problems, and that that can bring on some real challenges in a family and a marriage.
Just the care of the child, the cost of health care, what decisions to make, focus changes, just so much. I can't even begin to imagine what you were going through, but I would know that it's tough.
It was hard, and I was stressed in lots of different ways. Work was demanding. I was trying to get back into school again at that point, trying to go to school online, which wasn't really an option when I was first going to school, but everybody goes to school online anymore. But I was trying to get my degree completed. This is probably like the fourth time I had tried by that point, but just getting pulled in lots of different directions, and the stress started getting really heavy on me.
What type of work were you doing, and how were you coping with the stress at that time between work and home?
Well, at that time I was working in the corporate office for a very large business, doing corporate life, and just trying to make the best of it that I could, between working a full-time job and going to school and trying to maintain the family. Really didn't have any good coping mechanisms, looking back on it, and anything healthy to deal with the stress. And as the stress got more and more, I started dealing with it in worse and worse ways.
Mhm.
Care to share some of the worst ways, an example, maybe?
Well, yeah, as there were a couple of other issues that were confronting our family, some other health problems, and um, other areas of stress that were very, very heavy on us. And I was having some struggles with mental health and depression and that sort of thing. And I started drinking kind of to self-medicate my depression, which um, is very unhealthy.
Yeah, self-medicating at the time. Did you see we say self-medicating right now, but you didn't see it as a problem at that time in your life. You just felt it was just doing what you had to do to cope.
I knew it was a problem.
Okay.
And I knew that other people would see it as a problem if they had seen me. So I was, wouldn't would try to hide it whenever I was drinking. Try to conceal that from other people and make sure that nobody found out. And that when you do that, it just makes your problems worse.
Were there ever any moments of self-reflection, or did you ever say, you know what, because of my foundation in God and Christ, that I need to stop doing this? Or were there anybody around you that would, I guess if you're keeping it a secret, you may be keeping that part a secret, but you're letting others in on the stressors. Were there ever any positive influence that tried to steer you out of the dark periods?
We we had a lot of help from a lot of people. The people who were closest to us knew the stress that our family was under, but we were very private about what we were going through in a lot of ways, and didn't let people in, which was a mistake. Um, the more we try to fight our battles on our own, the more we get defeated by our enemy. And we try to, put on a brave face and make the best of it and handle our problems on our own. But we ignore the help that the family of God can provide in times like that.
Well, you kind of answered what my next question was going to be. Like, where was your faith at that moment in that hardship? Did you even think about God? Did you lean on faith, or where were you at that point in your spiritual journey during those hardest times?
Yeah, my faith was really crumbling at that time.
Crumbling. Okay.
And I talked earlier about the love of God that had really started to grow cold in me, and I was getting angry and bitter with God about some things that were affecting my family and people that I loved, and thinking, why aren't you stepping in to fix this? Why are you letting this continue? Why are you letting these people suffer? And so the bitterness and anger at God was really taken over at that point.
The stressors, the things that you were dealing with, alcohol abuse is now coming to the fray. Is that what contributed and led up to the prison sentence that we're going to get to in a moment, and kind of walk us through that time period?
It did. I was, like I said, I was drinking, and that got to be excessive. I was drinking very heavily, sometimes while I was at work, and I was on a downward spiral, getting more bitter at God, trying to solve all of the problems myself, and getting myself more and more exhausted, mentally and spiritually, physically. I remember being so tired and exhausted. I would sometimes put the car in park at a traffic light and try to just close my eyes for 20 seconds and just catch a couple winks.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would be nodding off at my desk at work and just doing whatever I could to stay awake. It was really, really draining, and my mental health was going downhill also, and it's connected to my spiritual health as well. Just the anger at God, the depression, psychosis that started to develop, and just things quit making sense, and I kind of put myself in the place of God, and um, tried to solve a problem in a really, really drastic way, and ended up attempting to commit a murder. which doesn't make any sense. But in my mind at the time, in my bad mental health state, it seemed like I was doing a good thing.
So when you reached that point, you say that wasn't the best thing to do. What happened at that point?
I without getting into too far into the specifics of it. But,
no specifics, but we just asking in general. Like, were you locked up at that point, or?
Well, I like I said, I tried to commit a murder and was arrested shortly after that,
Okay.
and that began the jail and incarceration period
Getting
of my
that
life.
justice contact.
Yeah.
That is for someone, and I imagine at this point you had never been in any type of
No trouble at all.
never been, and so I definitely can say that there's some commonalities, because the first time I ended up in a pair of handcuffs was actually the first time that I ended up in prison, and how spiraling that feeling can be. As you're in the county jail and they're rattling off, whether it's your attorney, public defender, what's going on in your mind at this time? Was it kind of like one of those surreal moments, like, how did I get here type of things?
Yeah, definitely a fish out of water experience. Like, this is nothing I had any frame of reference for. How did I get here? What am I doing here? What have I done to my life? My life is over. All of those thoughts are running through my head. I didn't know what to do. Didn't know how I was going to make it through.
Just curious. At that time, did anyone say or maybe detect something was going on with your mental health? Do you think anybody recognized it and might have mentioned it, even if indirectly, or no one noticed?
I tried to keep it hidden as much as possible, but later on, a couple of people did say to me, like, we knew that you had too much on you and we should have stepped in and done something. We saw some signs, but didn't do anything.
All right. Well, right now you're in the county jail. Thank you for sharing that much. And we're going to dig deeper in the next episode. But right now you're in the county jail, and we want to hear more about your journey, because you being here today, we know it had to be some downs, but it's been some ups. And you out here in the audience, I hope that you're staying tuned here to the Death or Prison podcast. We have D. Ray, the wonderful David Ray, here in the studio. He has a powerful story. He was talking about mental health. Mental health is a big thing going on right now. Most times it's not recognized, it's not discussed, and it's a lot. But we'll get into that more.
You've been listening to the Death or Prison podcast, but we say choose life.
Delivered, no more tears, now we cheer, blessings flowing like a river. Choose life. That's the Father's call through our stories. Hope. Choose